There is no luck in this game. None. You cannot blame the wind because there is no wind. You cannot blame the referee because the referee never touches the balls. You cannot blame your teammate because you do not have one. There is only you, a tapered shaft of hand-carved ash wood, and a vast, silent table draped in immaculate green baize. The pockets are so tight that a ball must be struck with sub-millimeter precision to fall. A fraction of a degree of error at the cue tip becomes an inch of catastrophe at the far end of a 12-foot table. This is not a bar game. This is applied geometry under suffocating psychological pressure. And in the underground, where the money is real and the consequences are violent, it is also a blood sport played in absolute silence. Level 1. You are 16 years old. You own a warped $20 cue stick from a pawn shop. The tip is worn flat and barely holds chalk. You spend your evenings in a cramped, smoke-filled pub where the table's felt is torn and the cushions are dead. You put your last $5 on a game of 8-ball against a drunk regular who has been playing on this exact table for 30 years. You try a flashy bank shot off the side rail. You miscalculate the angle by a hair. You scratch. He pockets his remaining stripes with lazy, dismissive ease, takes your crumpled bill off the rail, and laughs directly in your face. You do not have money for the bus home. You walk 2 miles in the freezing rain, your cheap cue case slung over your shoulder, your pride shattered into pieces smaller than the chalk dust on your shirt. But something about the geometry of that missed bank shot burns itself into your visual memory. You replay it over and over in your head. You will solve that angle. You will master this table if it kills you. Level 2. By 19, you are no longer the victim. You are the predator. You have spent 3 years studying the physics of collision angles, spin transfer, and deflection. You can calculate where the cue ball will end up 3 shots ahead without conscious thought. But more importantly, you have learned the psychology of the hustle. You walk into windowless basement pool halls wearing tattered clothes. You hold your cheap cue like you barely know which end to grip. You intentionally dog easy shots in the first 2 games, letting your mark win and build false confidence. You watch his ego inflate. You watch him raise the stakes. And then, when the pile of cash on the rail reaches its peak, you flip the switch. Your posture transforms. Your stroke becomes a surgical instrument. You run out the table without letting him touch the cue ball. You take the money without making eye contact and disappear before anyone processes what just happened. You are pulling in $500 a night in underground rooms where the lighting is yellow. The air is heavy with cigarette haze, and nobody asks for your real name. The human body was not designed for the level of stillness this game demands. When you settle into your stance over the cue ball, your chin must be perfectly level, hovering exactly 1 inch above the polished wood of the cue shaft. Your leading hand forms a bridge on the baize, and it must be anchored with the stability of poured concrete. Your back leg locks straight, converting your lower body into a rigid tripod. Your grip hand, cradling the butt of the cue, must remain impossibly loose, tightening only at the precise microsecond of impact. If your heartbeat spikes and sends even the faintest tremor through the muscles of your forearm, the cue tip will deflect. 1 millimeter of deflection at the tip translates to 2 inches of error at the object ball. 2 inches is the difference between a pot and an embarrassment. The margin separating a professional from an amateur is literally invisible to the naked eye. Level 3. This is where the underground betrays you. You get greedy. You hustle a man in a city you have never visited before. You clear his table for $3,000 in an hour. Nobody claps. The front door clicks, locked behind you. 2 enormous men step out of the shadows. They do not want a rematch. They take back the cash. They take your cue, a beautiful custom stick you saved for months to buy, and snap it cleanly in half over a bent knee. They throw you out into the alley behind the bar. You land face first in cold puddle water, your ribs aching from where someone's boot connected. You sit up in the dark, staring at the two splintered halves of your favorite cue lying in the gutter beside you. In that filthy alley, the truth hits you harder than any fist. The underground hustle is a dead end. The money is fast, but the trajectory leads nowhere except a hospital bed, a jail cell, or a shallow grave. If you want to survive, you need to go legitimate. Level 4. You walk into a proper, brightly lit snooker club for the first time. The contrast to the underground is jarring. The carpet is clean. The lighting is white and even. The tables are immaculate. You sit down at a full-size, 12-foot professional snooker table and immediately realize you are in a completely different universe. The pockets are microscopic compared to the generous buckets on a pool table. The balls are noticeably smaller and lighter. There is no margin for slop, no lucky rattles, no forgiveness whatsoever. You try your aggressive pool hall power break. The cue ball rockets off the pack and flies uselessly around the table, potting nothing, and leaving your opponent a wide open spread. You attempt a flashy long pot. The ball catches the far jaw of the pocket and spins out mockingly. You cannot even string together a 30-point break before losing position entirely. The club regulars watch you from across the room with polite, pitying smiles. They have seen 100 hustlers walk in here, thinking pool skills translate. They never do. Your confidence collapses. You are a beginner again, and the humility is excruciating. Safety play is the dark art that separates the professionals from the dreamers. It is not glamorous. Television viewers groan when they see it. But at the highest level, safety play is the most psychologically devastating weapon in the sport. You do not try to pot difficult balls. Instead, you maneuver the cue ball into positions that are physically impossible for your opponent to escape cleanly. You nestle the white ball tight behind the brown, leaving your opponent snookered, forcing him to play off 3 cushions just to make legal contact with a red. If he fails, you receive 4 penalty points and get the cue ball back in your hand. You do it again and again. You are not trying to outscore him. You are trying to systematically dismantle his mental composure until he makes a frustrated, reckless mistake that cracks the frame wide open. It is chess played on green felt. It is psychological suffocation dressed up as geometry. Silence is the invisible opponent that nobody warns you about. In the underground pool halls, there was constant noise, music thumping, glasses clinking, arguments erupting at neighboring tables. That chaos was a comfort. It drowned out your thoughts. But professional snooker is played in a silence so aggressive it has physical weight. You can hear the dry, papery sound of chalk being applied to a Q-tip 3 tables away. You can hear the squeak of the referee's polished shoes as he repositions the colors. You can hear your own pulse hammering in your eardrums. When your opponent is at the table constructing a methodical 40-point break and you are strapped into your chair doing nothing, the silence gives your brain too much empty bandwidth. It invites doubt through the back door of your consciousness. Destructive, recursive thoughts begin circling. You start questioning your cue action, your stance, your strategy. The silence does not comfort you. It interrogates you. Level 5. You swallow every last gram of your pride and begin the rebuild. You strip away every flashy, show-off technique you imported from the pool halls and start from absolute zero. You spend 10 hours a day in front of a practice table playing the same shot over and over until the muscle memory is carved permanently into your nervous system. Center ball striking, 1,000 repetitions per day. Your bridge hand develops a thick, painful blister that cracks open, bleeds, heals, and cracks open again until the skin hardens into permanent callus. You enter miserable, unglamorous pro-am tournaments in freezing community halls on grey Sunday mornings, playing in front of 0 spectators for prize money that barely covers your train fare home. You lose more than you win, but every loss teaches you something that winning never could. Your breaks slowly climb. 20, 30, 40. The cue ball is beginning to listen to you. Level 6, Cue School, the qualifying gauntlet for the World Snooker Tour. This is the single most pressurized environment in the sport outside of a world final. Hundreds of players enter. Only a handful receive tour cards. See grown men, hardened competitors who have been playing for decades, seeds, sitting in bathroom stalls with their heads in their hands, unable to stop their fingers from shaking. The stakes are existential. Fail here, and you wait an entire year before you can try again. Your semi-final match goes to a deciding frame. You are tied. The final frame comes down to the last black ball. It is sitting on the edge of the top left pocket. A relatively simple pot. But the pressure has turned your arms into wet cement. You lower yourself onto the shot. Your elbow feels like it belongs to a stranger. You deliver the stroke. The black ball drops into the pocket with a quiet, devastating click. You want to scream. Instead, you calmly reach into the pocket, retrieve the ball, and hand it to the referee, as if you have done this 1,000 times. Later, in the car park, sitting alone in your car, you cry for 20 minutes straight, level 7. The professional tour is nothing like you imagined. You are ranked number 120 in the world. You travel to depressing leisure centers in towns you have never heard of to play first-round qualifying matches in front of literally no audience. Not a small audience. 0 human beings watching. Just you, your opponent, and a referee who looks like he would rather be anywhere else. You are drawn against a grizzled 10-year veteran who has 0 interest in entertaining anyone. He does not pot difficult balls. He plays suffocating, relentless safety. He buries the cue ball behind the brown, over and over and over, forcing you into impossible escapes. He slowly, methodically breaks your patience into dust. You lose 5 frames to 0. You earn nothing. You pay for your own hotel, your own fuel, your own meals. You lie awake in a budget hotel room, staring at the stippled ceiling, doing the arithmetic on your bank account, and realizing that at this rate, professional snooker is going to bankrupt you before it ever rewards you. The bottom of the professional ladder is a cold, unforgiving place, level 8. 4 years of grinding through the lower ranks. 4 years of budget hotels, empty arenas, and silent defeats that nobody on the planet witnessed or cared about. And then, finally, the call comes. You have qualified for the World Snooker Championship at the Crucible Theatre in Sheffield. The Crucible, the Cathedral of Precision, the single most famous sporting venue in the cue sports universe. You walk down the narrow staircase into the arena for the first time. The walls are close. The atmosphere is impossibly intimate. You can see the individual faces of every spectator in the front row. You can see the sweat on your opponent's upper lip from across the table. Millions of people are watching every frame live on television. Every missed pot, every positional error, every flicker of emotion on your face is broadcast to the world in unforgiving high definition. You draw a former world champion in the opening round. He has been here 15 times. This is your first. He knows every creak in the floorboards, every dead spot on the cushions. The psychological advantage is entirely his, but you have something he lost years ago. Hunger. You match him frame for frame. He tries to impose his experience. You answer with the cold, relentless safety game you learned from watching veterans destroy you in those empty leisure centers. In the deciding frame, he overcuts a red to the middle pocket by a fraction. You punish the mistake with a clinical 68 break to take the frame and the match. A former world champion has just been eliminated by a qualifier. and the Crucible crowd gives you a standing ovation as you walk off. You are no longer a tourist here. You belong. There is a nightmare that haunts every single professional cue sport athlete on Earth. It is called the twitch. It is an involuntary, catastrophic neurological misfire that strikes without warning. You are down on a simple, straight pot, a shot you have made 10,000 times in practice. Your eyes can see the angle with mathematical clarity. Your brain has computed the required force perfectly. But the instant you begin your backswing, the pressure triggers a tiny electrical malfunction in the motor neurons controlling your arm. Your elbow jerks. The cue stabs at the ball instead of stroking through it. The pot misses by an inch. The ball rattles violently in the jaws of the pocket and stays out. The silence that follows is deafening. The twitch is not a skill problem. It is a trust problem. Your conscious brain has hijacked the stroke because it does not trust your subconscious to deliver it under pressure. Once the twitch takes hold, it can destroy an entire career. There is no physical cure. The only remedy is unshakable psychological conviction, and that is the rarest commodity in sport. Level 9. The semi-final. Best of 33 frames across 2 days. You have never played a match this long. The physical endurance required is staggering. By the second session, your lower back is screaming from the repetitive bending motion. Your eyes ache from the sustained focus under the hot television lights. Your opponent is stubborn, brilliant, and refuses to concede an inch. The match goes deep into the final session. You are tied at 16 frames apiece. 32nd frame. You trail by 30 points with only the colors remaining. You need every single color plus a snooker. It is mathematically almost impossible. You pot the yellow, then the green, then a miraculous snooker behind the brown that earns you the 4 points you need. Then the brown, the blue, the pink. The black ball sits on its spot. You pot it into the bottom left corner with the last reserves of energy your nervous system possesses. You have stolen the frame from the jaws of certain defeat. The crowd erupts. Your opponent sits in his chair and stares at the table in disbelief, trying to comprehend how he just lost a frame he had already won. In the deciding frame, you hold your nerve and grind out a tense, scrappy victory built entirely on safety play. You are through to the World Championship Final. Level 10. The final. You face the world number 1, a cold, clinical machine of a man who has dominated the sport for 5 consecutive seasons. The match stretches across 4 brutal sessions over 2 days. You trade frames like heavyweight boxers, trading punches. Neither of you gives an inch. By the final session, you are tied at 15 frames apiece. And then something extraordinary happens. You step up to the table in frame 31 and enter the zone. The table expands, the pockets widen. You pot a long red into the top corner, then the black another red, the black again. You are building a break with metronomic rhythm. Red, black, red, black, red, black. The cue ball is responding to your commands with an obedience that feels supernatural. You sink all 15 reds, each one followed by the highest value color, 105 points, without your opponent touching the cue ball. The crowd has gone completely silent, understanding that they are witnessing something historic. You clear the yellow into the center pocket, the green into the top left, the brown, the blue, the pink. Each ball falls with clinical inevitability. The black ball sits alone on its spot, 140 points already on the board. You crouch into your stance over the cue ball. The entire crucible holds its breath. You pull back and strike with immaculate precision. The black drops into the pocket with a clean, resonant click. 147, a maximum break, in a World Championship final, on live television. The referee reaches for his gloves. The crowd rises to its feet as one organism and roars. It is the single greatest frame of snooker ever played by a human being. Your opponent sits motionless in his chair, knowing the match is over. You take the next frame with surgical calm to clinch the title. You stand up. You turn around. You place the butt of your cue gently on the carpet, lean on it for support, and press both hands against your face. The tears come before the sound does. The crowd erupts into the most deafening ovation the Crucible has ever heard. The referee removes the respotted black and folds the triangle. Your opponent walks around the table and shakes your hand with genuine respect. You embrace him. Then you walk to the edge of the arena, where the enormous silver World Championship trophy sits gleaming under the television lights. You lift it. The weight of it surprises you. Confetti explodes from the ceiling. Flashbulbs strobe, and for a single eternal moment, you hold the most beautiful object in sport above your head and let the reality wash over you. You think about the warped pawnshop queue. You think about walking home in the freezing rain. You think about the broken stick in the dark alley and the budget hotels and the empty qualifying halls where nobody watched you lose. Every single one of those moments was a brick in the foundation you are standing on right now. You did not just beat the table. You beat yourself. You conquered every demon, every doubt, and every molecule of fear that ever whispered that you were not good enough. From a smoky, dangerous dive bar to the absolute summit of precision sport. You are the world champion. You are an immortal legend. But the truth that nobody tells you is this: the trophy is not the reward. The reward is the stroke. When you deliver the perfect cue action. When the tip meets the exact center of the cue ball with exactly the right force, at exactly the right angle, with exactly the right follow-through. There is a sound and a feeling that cannot be replicated by any other human experience. The deep, resonant thud of ash wood striking ivory-white composite. The cue ball spinning backward with vicious, controlled backspin, stopping precisely where you commanded it to stop. Not an inch more, not an inch less. Total, absolute dominion over physics. When you are chaining those strikes together, pot, position, each shot flowing into the next with the inevitability of a cascading waterfall, you are not playing a game anymore. You are conducting a symphony. The table is your orchestra, the balls are your notes, and the silence of the Crucible is your concert hall.